Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're diving into what I think is one of the most profound and honestly kind of baffling contradictions of our modern era. Because look, if you just glance at the raw statistics of human history, you and I, we should be absolutely thriving right now. I mean, we've got unprecedented convenience, instant entertainment right at the tap of a glass screen, and safety comforts that our ancestors couldn't even dream of. And yet, despite all of this hyper-optimization, there's just this heavy, pervasive sense of digital fatigue and malaise hanging over all of us.
It's the absolute elephant in the room, isn't it? Why does nobody feel happy anymore? If you talk to almost anyone right now, friends, family, coworkers, there's this weird, unspoken consensus. People aren't necessarily in some huge acute crisis, right? They aren't in the middle of a massive emergency. Instead, they're just numb. We're all experiencing this low-grade, constant state of exhaustion. It's like a global feeling of meh. And I really want to validate that for you right off the bat. Because if you've been feeling this way, you are absolutely not alone.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First up, we'll look at the global meh. Then we'll diagnose 3 structural crises: the missing off-ramp, the hedonic treadmill, and the death of casual community. And finally, we'll wrap up with a totally actionable calibration strategy to fix it.
All right, part 1, the global meh. Let's talk about this collective exhaustion.
For decades, we've basically been sold a lie, and it goes a little something like this. If we just buy the right stuff, fully optimize our morning routines, and hit that next big milestone, the big promotion, the new house, then boom, the happiness will finally kick in. But the finish line just keeps moving, doesn't it? Please hear me out on this one. Feeling emotionally flat right now is not a personal failure. It's not some character flaw, and no, it's not just getting older. What you're experiencing is actually a biological response. Our brains are simply reacting exactly how they're wired to react to 3 massive structural changes in how modern society operates. Let's look at the first one.
Moving on to the first crisis, the missing off-ramp, the absolute eradication of downtime.
You see, the modern world has quietly but completely eradicated our psychological downtime. And it happened so gradually that most of us didn't even notice our mental off-ramps were literally being paved over. Human biology is incredibly resilient, for sure, but it was built for episodic stress. Imagine a classic stress curve, okay? A threat appears, you get a massive sharp spike of adrenaline, you deal with the threat, and then, and this is absolutely crucial, there's a dramatic drop back down into a deep, long recovery period. That flat line of recovery, that's where our biology resets. But today, well, our stress is chronic. Because of our 24/7 globalized information flow, our stress looks like this continuous, jagged line that just never, ever touches the baseline.
And that leads us straight into a state of chronic threat scanning. You finish a grueling project at work, but instead of actually recovering, your phone buzzes with breaking news, and then an urgent email pops up, and then a text. Your nervous system is basically trapped in permanent activation. Now, the science here is a bit heavy, but it's super vital to understand. This constant state of alert completely depletes the specific neurotransmitters in your brain that are responsible for calm and deep focus. So we aren't necessarily clinically depressed. We are just profoundly biologically depleted. We are literally suffering from the sheer cumulative weight of living without a true psychological off-ramp.
Which brings us to our second structural crisis, the hedonic treadmill. Talk about a treadmill on absolute overdrive.
So this builds perfectly into our next issue, where our natural reward pathways have been totally hijacked by modern convenience. The hedonic treadmill, or hedonic adaptation, is a very well-documented psychological concept. It's basically the human tendency to rapidly return to a baseline happiness set point right after experiencing a major positive or negative change. Think about it. You get a raise or maybe a new car, and you get this massive spike of joy. But give it a few weeks, and that shiny new reality just becomes your everyday normal. Humans have always adapted to positive changes. It's what kept our ancestors striving for more, right? But modern tech has taken this totally natural phenomenon and slapped it into absolute hyperdrive.
Historically, adaptation happened slowly, simply because life moved slowly. Think about it. You used to save up for months to buy a physical album. You listened to it on repeat. You read the liner notes. You truly savored it. But today, you have 100 million songs in your pocket. And if a track doesn't grab your attention in exactly 5 seconds, skip. When novelty is instant, adaptation is instant. We are quite literally overstimulating our brain's reward pathways to the point of total desensitization. When you can have anything instantly, absolutely nothing feels special anymore. We've kind of killed our own ability to feel satisfied.
All right, Moving to the third crisis, the death of casual community. This is probably the quietest crisis of them all.
And honestly, this one is perhaps the most devastating to our emotional well-being, the quiet, steady erosion of our social fabric. Human beings are intensely, fundamentally tribal. For hundreds of thousands of years, our very survival depended entirely on being deeply embedded in tight, local, and yes, very messy networks. We had these built-in, unchosen social interactions every single day, chatting with the local grocer, the neighbor, the postman. But today, we have traded all of those messy, local interactions for highly optimized digital ones. We work from home alone, we literally order our groceries straight to our door through an app, and we've swapped out deep, face-to-face conversations for quick little comments on a screen.
The crazy thing is, we fully optimized our lives to eliminate the friction of dealing with real, unpredictable people. But in doing so, we accidentally eliminated the exact thing that anchors our emotional well-being, a sense of belonging. Today, we live physically closer together in these massive urban centers than ever before in human history, and yet we feel completely isolated. We severed our casual, tribal belonging, and our brains are just sounding the alarm.
All right, let's get to the good part. Section 5, the calibration strategy, how we actually go about reclaiming our joy. Okay, so let's recap real quick. We have a brain depleted by chronic stress, numbed from instant gratification, and completely starved of community. Sounds bleak, right? But here is the genuinely great news. We can absolutely fix this. If the modern world is actively designed to keep us numb, we just have to actively push back. And the huge relief here is that you don't need to quit your job, throw your smartphone into a river, and run off to live in a cabin in the woods. Extreme lifestyle changes? Totally unnecessary. What you actually need to do is just implement 3 simple, absolutely non-negotiable boundaries to let your nervous system recalibrate.
Think of this as your ultimate toolkit. First, to fix that missing downtime, we create cognitive off-ramps. The action here? Set a strict 30-minute window every single day with 0 digital inputs. I'm talking no phone, no podcasts, no screens whatsoever. Just go for a walk or literally just do the dishes in silence. The psychological shift is amazing because it finally signals to your brain that the threat is over, which dramatically lowers your cortisol. Second, to fix that hedonic treadmill, we start micro-dosing savoring. When something good happens, like you get a genuinely great cup of coffee or you feel a nice warm breeze, force yourself to actively focus on it for 30 seconds. And do it without taking a picture for social media. This actually manually slows down your reward loop. And third, to fix our isolation, we introduce high-friction connection. Just replace 1 digital interaction a week with a physical, low-efficiency one. Go actually chat with a barista or host a messy, super casual dinner where everyone's phones sit in a basket by the door. This slowly rebuilds that baseline of casual, tribal belonging that your brain is just starving for.
I really want to leave you with this thought to kind of anchor everything we've talked about today. Happiness isn't some high state of dizzying excitement that you have to endlessly chase down and capture. True sustainable happiness is actually just the absence of the urge to be somewhere else. It's peace. The modern world is going to keep shouting at you that you need more to be happy. More money, more optimization, more content. But the real truth, you probably just need a little less distraction to realize the beauty of what you already have right in front of you. So how is this collective numbness showing up for you? Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. I really want to hear your thoughts on this one. If you've been feeling this collective numbness lately, jump into the comments and let me know exactly how it's showing up in your life. Sharing these experiences is exactly how we build the kind of community we just talked about, and it really helps to know we aren't navigating all this crazy modern stuff alone. If you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to subscribe so we can keep exploring the fascinating ways modern psychology impacts our daily lives. I will see you in the next explainer.